On the news tonight, National Assembly summons CBN officials over cash withdrawal limit policy. Governor Adeleke constitutes revenue and solid minerals committees. World Health Organization says COVID-19 interrupt efforts to control malaria. Good evening, welcome to the major reports. Babatunde Bolatito is my name. President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, has invited 49 African heads of state and the head of the African Union for a 3-day U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. The 3-day summit scheduled for this month will take place in Washington, D.C., the U.S. Capitol. This was contained in a statement made available to journalists. According to the statement, Biden believes the U.S. collaboration with African leaders, as well as civil societies, business, diaspora, women, and youth leaders is essential to addressing the shared challenges. It indicated that the goal of the summit is to build and expand vital political, economic, and strategic partnership, as well as people-to-people dialogue based on mutual interest and shared priorities in Africa. The Senate will tomorrow greet two deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria over the cash withdrawal policy unveiled by the Apex Bank. The Red Chamber plans to seek clarification on the new directive which restricts over-the-counter cash withdrawal by individuals and organizations to 100,000 naira and 500,000 naira respectively per week. It also limits cash withdrawal via point-of-sale machine and automated teller machine to 20,000 naira daily and 100,000 naira weekly respectively, according to a memo signed by the CBN Director of Banking Supervision, Haruna Mustafa. Withdrawal above the threshold will attract processing fees of 5% and 10% respectively for individuals and corporate entities going forward. In addition, third-party checks above 50,000 naira shall not be eligible for OTS payment, while extant limit of 10 million naira on clearing checks still remain. Deliberating on the policy on the floor of the Senate, senators says there was a need to deliberate and debate the policy on the floor of the Red Chamber. However, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan directed the Senate Committee on Banking to grant the two reappointed deputy governors of the CBN, Aisha Law Ahmed and Edward Adamu, who will be screened tomorrow on the new cash withdrawal policy. The House of Representatives has criticized the new policy introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which, among others, set limit to cash withdrawal at the deposit money banks and other financial institutions. Consequently, the House summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to come and explain the policy to the Parliament. This is based on a motion of urgent public importance moved by a member of the House, Aliyu Bagaji, at plenary. Lawmakers warned that the policy will have serious consequences and adverse effects on businesses and Nigerians who have no access to the banking system. The minority leader, Ndudi Elumelu, however, said the policy would check crimes as funds will not be tracked through the banking system. He said, though the timing might be wrong, the country will benefit more from it. Nigerians have called on the federal government to embark on adequate sensitization before implementing any policy that will affect the generality of the masses. This from the views of those who spoke with Osbc News against the backdrop of the new cash withdrawal limit policy announced by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Oluchi Amada now completes the story.
For individuals and corporate organizations disclosed by the Central Bank of Nigeria has continued to attract mixed reactions from members of the public. Governor of the CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele have disclosed that the new policy, which takes effect on the 9th of January next year, is aimed at reducing the amount of physical cash circulating in the economy and encouraging more electronic-based transactions. The new policy entails that withdrawal by individuals is limited to a maximum of 100,000 naira per week and 20,000 naira per day, while organizations can only withdraw 500,000 naira per week. The CBN boss also added that only 200 naira and below will be available at the ATMs, while maximum withdrawal from the point of sales, POS terminals, will be 20,000 naira daily. Reacting to this, some Nigerians, including Mr. Amza Sholanke and Dr. Soji Akinpelu, stated that the policy was conceived in good faith, but the CBN owes it a duty to sensitize the masses about any change in government policy. They maintain that the new policy, if implemented, would help strengthen the naira and mob up excess money from the circulation.
If the policy is completely targeted about cash limitation, then it's good. If it's not limiting the number of transactions from POS terminals and ATM transfers and all of that, okay, then in that way it can actually help the cashless policy.
All we need is orientation and more time. They should let us know why they are doing it. Why are they doing it? To assist this, to assist that. There's a good explanation on it. People will keen to the idea. Yes, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but if it's going to be for betterment, we will swallow it.
The CBN has vowed to impose severe sanctions on banks and other institutions, aiding and abetting the circumvention of the policy. Oluchi Amuda, Osbc News.
Governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has approved the constitution of two committees, Revenue and Solid Minerals Committee, respectively. The Secretary to the Government of Osun State, Honorable Teslim Ibalaye, announced in a statement by the spokesperson to the Governor, Malam Olawale Rashid, that Mr. Shola Adewumi was appointed the Chairman of the Revenue Committee, while Mr. Samuel Ojedogun is the Chairman of the Solid Minerals Committee. Governor Adeleke is to inaugurate the two committees on Monday. The Nigerian military said although it is facing constant pressure to compromise the 2023 elections, Nigerians can be rest assured that it will remain neutral. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Rabo, stated this to journalists at the 61st session of the State House ministerial briefing organized by the presidential communication teams at the Aso Villa in Abuja. According to him, the military personnel face pressure through inducement, but the armed forces will remain apolitical as it is taking necessary measures to ensure compliance with the directive of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to remain neutral and maintain neutrality. Irabo said personnel are being trained to be more professional, even as the rule of engagement have been codified for distribution before, during, and after the election. The CDS also disclosed that several military rescue operations and negotiations have led to freeing of at least 300,000 people from the hands of the abductors since 2014, when refugees who fled the northeast due to insurgency have started to return. Following the dissolution of Osun Progressives top, a tendency of the All Progressives Congress APC, at a news conference, the Osun State chapter of the APC says it's not averse toward genuine reconciliation. A release by the acting chairman of the state chapter of the APC, Soko Tajul Awal, in Osogbo, saluted the courage of top leaders and members to toe the line of peace. He said, as no alternative for political stability, tranquility, and fortune of the party. According to the acting chairman of the party, the immediate past governor, Adegboyega Oyetola, is also favorably disposed to genuine and authentic reconciliation. It will be recalled that former Speaker, Right Honorable Najim Salam, at a press conference, announced the dissolution of top tendency, with a disclosure that it has the blessing of the patron of top, Ogbeni Rauf Arabeshola, the Minister of Interior. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has said the queues at filling stations will soon disappear as marketers commence massive loading of petrol. Chief Executive Officer Farouk Ahmed said this while leading a delegation of the authority on a stock monitoring exercise within depots in Lagos. The NMDPRA boss said the current distribution of petrol across the nation will address the issue of tightness in the market. He added that depots in Apapa had products and were loading massively to Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and other states of the Federation. According to him, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited stock report shows that there is enough product and Nigerians should avoid panic buying. Drug abuse is a menace that can only be contained through collective efforts of stakeholders. The guest lecturer, Dr. Opeyemi Abdullahi, stated this at a seminar organized by Islamic and Prophetic Medicine Practitioners Association of Nigeria, IPAM, in Osogbo, Osun State Capital. Our reporter, Oluwatobiloba Otunuga, has details.
Titled Drug Abuse Islamic Perspective at a seminar organized by the Islamic and Prophetic Medicine Practitioners Association of Nigeria, IPAN. The guest lecturer, Dr. Opeyemi Abdullahi, who doubled as the National Vice President of the association, described drug abuse as excessive use of psychoactive drugs such as alcohol, pain medications, or illegal drugs, adding that the excessive intake of drugs or substances can lead to physical, social, or emotional harm. Dr. Abdullahi added that when one is addicted to excessive intake of drugs, one can't resist the urge to use them, no matter how much harm the drugs may cause, noting that the best way to avoid the excessive intake of drugs or substances is to adhere strictly to the doctor's prescription.
We want to sensitize them. We want to, encourage them to abstain from this social menace. They want to tell them what Islamic medicine is all about, as against what people know, in terms of the use of non-medical, non-professional approach as Islamic medicine. So we want people to have the right perspective of Islamic and prophetic medicine.
In his remarks, Director for National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control in Osun State, Mr. Musa Ibrahim, who lamented the adverse effect of drug abuse in Nigeria's societies, noted that the government, with the support of the society, will not relent in its fight against drug and substance abuse. He stated further that there is need for all to stand against the use of excessive drugs and abuse of substance.
Please and please, this is a big forum, and I commend the association. Don't relent on your effort. The society is too rotten. Too rotten. We can't do it all, but let our efforts be there always. And by the special grace of the Almighty, I believe by His mercy, He will listen to us.
Earlier in his address, the chairman of Islamic and Prophetic Medicine Practitioners Association of Nigeria, Osun State Chapter, Dr. Teslim Egbedi, maintained that the purpose of the seminar is to create awareness for their members on the evil of quackery, lack of assurance, and dealing with illegal and harmful products, which could cause danger to one's health. The chairman assured the members of the public that the association will not relent in its efforts in making more research on the usage of natural herbs for the treatment of ailments and the betterment of all. The chairman appreciated the support of those who were present at the occasion, including Akere of Ikirele, Oba Abdulaziz Olatubosun, and the Osun State Deputy Commander of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Mr. Mustafa Tajuddin, executive members of IMPAN, among others. Members of the Islamic and Prophetic Medicine Practitioners Association of Nigeria, IMPAN comprises of different professionals from the health sector, such as medical doctors, pharmacists, nurses, physical therapists, acupuncturists, lawyers, business tycoons, Islamic scholars, and religious researchers, among others. Oluwa Tobiloba Odunuga, Osbc News.
The program's department of the radio arm of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation has been commended for always coming up with new ideas that enliven the society. Director General of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Mr. Rashid Fulani, gave the commendation at the maiden edition of Osbc Radio Programs Department Day. Olaide Adegbero now reports.
The open-air studio Ile-Awiye Oke-Bale Osogbo played host to royal fathers, management and staff of the corporation, who all converged to mark maiden OSBC Radio Programs Day, featuring a public lecture with the theme Your Tomorrow Starts Today, as well as award presentation to worthy listeners of OSBC Radio, organized by Radio Programs Department. Addressing the gathering, the Director General of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation Conglomerate, Mr. Rashid Folaranmi, said that non-partisan style of report makes OSBC stand out among other stations, urging staff to know that everybody matters in broadcasting. Mr. Folaranmi then admonished radio program staff to keep setting standards that everyone can emulate.
Broadcasting is a chain business. Everybody matters in broadcasting. What we are saying is that we must not shy away from recognizing the importance of everybody in our organization up to the level of cleaners.
Secretary of Osun State People's Democratic Party legal team, who is also the chairman of the occasion, Barrister Asim Abioye, lauded management and staff of OSBC for their integrity, pledging that Governor Ademola Adeleke will do all he can to ensure that OSBC thrives more under his administration. In his lecture, the guest lecturer, Mr. Gideon Ayoade, said many people abandon their today, focusing on tomorrow, not knowing that for tomorrow to be good, we have to be ready for it. Mr. Ayoade stressed that the secret of success is determined by our daily agenda. Royal fathers who came from across the state to grace the occasion, including Owaloko of Iloko Ijesha, Oba Akim Ogungbangbe, Alawo of Awo, Oba Rasak Olagboye, Oloja of Ibodi, Oba Omisade Agboluaje, Salu of Edun-Abon, Oba Oladepo Olatunde, all poured encomiums on management and staff of OSBC for always being the watchdog of the society and enlightening the public on culture, customs and tradition of Yoruba. In their reactions, two of the awardees, Araba Ogboni Agbaye, Tunde Abereifa, and Mr. Taiwo Olayiwola, expressed their delightness in OSBC for counting them worthy, stressing that the station remains the best among others.
It's a honor being done today. We have been calling, people always say, why are they calling? Those people that we are referring to when we are calling, they will be saying maybe they do not even hear what we are saying. But we never care about that.
The host of the event, who doubles as the Director of Radio Programs Department, Mrs. Tupe Akinyemi, appreciated members of the committee for their support towards the success of the occasion. The occasion climaxed with award presentations. For OSBC News, this is Olaide Adegbero.
The Director General of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Mr. Rashid Folaranmi, has expressed gratitude to Governor Ademola Adeleke for creating an enabling environment for the corporation to thrive. The Director General of OSBC spoke at the flag-off of the OSBC Father Christmas show, called on the people of the state to celebrate the Christmas with moderation. Olaide Adegbero again reports.
Ile-Awiye Oke-Bale Osogbo played host to royal fathers, management and staffs of OSBC, children who all converged for the 2022 OSBC Christmas Carol celebration. The program, 30th of its kind, was aimed at celebrating the birth of Jesus. In his welcome address, Director General of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation Conglomerates, Mr. Rashid Folaranmi, said that Christmas is all about love, and the only way we can make our country great is by loving one another. Mr. Folaranmi maintained that the station will continue to ensure balance and objectivity in all its reports, urging the public to keep patronizing OSBC. Senator representing Osun East, who doubles as the chairman of the occasion, Senator Francis Fadaunsi, represented by Professor Mrs. Adejumoke Aderemi, congratulated the OSBC conglomerate for yet another celebration of the Christmas Carol Party. While speaking on the occasion, the special guest of honor, Mrs. Abosede Bamigboye, enjoined everyone to inculcate tolerance and peaceful coexistence in the state at large, as living in love will help extinguish flame of hatred. Chairperson OSBC Christmas Committee, Mrs. Adetutu Odekunle, appreciated everyone present and all management and staffs of OSBC. Royal fathers who graced the occasion were the Elekusa of Ekusa, Oba John Makanjuola, and Agbaikun of Obadimu, Oba Michael Olakitan. High point of the event were Christmas carol parade, scripture reading, sermon, and presentation of gifts to the children by Father Christmas. For all SPC News, this is Olaide Adegbenro reporting.
Now, welcome to our sports segment. Over now to Omotayo Adebodun for sport reports.
Luis Enrique has left his role as Spain boss after they were knocked out of the World Cup by Morocco in the last 16. The 52-year-old took charge in 2018 and guided Spain to the Euro 2020 semi-finals, where they lost to Italy. Spain under-21 coach Luis de la Fuente has been recommended for the role, but his appointment must be approved by the board, which meets next Monday. Luis Enrique's most successful period as manager at club level came with Barcelona between 2014 and 2017, where he won the Champions League and guided them to 2 La Liga titles, 3 Copa del Rey, the Super Cup, and the Club World Cup, as well as Spanish Super Cup. He took over as manager of Spain in the wake of their chaotic 2018 World Cup campaign, succeeding Fernando Herrero, who had stepped in 2 days before the tournament because Julian Lopetegui was sacked for announcing he was taking over at Real Madrid after the tournament. In the meantime, England winger Raheem Sterling is to return to Qatar before Saturday's World Cup quarter-final against France. The Chelsea player, who is 28 years, flew back to England on Sunday following a break-in at his family house in Surrey. Sterling's spokesperson said he left the England camp to prioritize the well-being of his 3 young children. He missed England's 3-0 win over Senegal in the last 16, but is expected to rejoin the squad in Al-Waqar tomorrow. Sterling, who has 81 international caps, scored for England in a 6-2 win against Iran in their opening game at the World Cup. No arrest has been made yet in relation to the break-in at Sterling's home. The Football Association is yet to reveal exactly what it was told about the incidents before Sterling's departure. Omotayo Adebodun, Osbc News.
On to foreign reports. The World Health Organization says the coronavirus pandemic has interrupted efforts to control malaria, resulting in 63,000 additional deaths and 13 million more infections globally over 2 years. Let's now join Tafikat Abdulakin for details.
United Nations Health Agency, in its World Malaria Report 2022, said that cases of the parasitic disease went up in 2020 and continued to climb in 2021, though at a slower pace. It said about 95% of the world's malaria infections and deaths last year were in Africa, and just 4 countries, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Niger, and Tanzania, accounted for more than half of all malaria deaths. Meanwhile, the number of malaria infections continued to rise, albeit at a slower pace, to an estimated 247 million in 2021. That compares with 245 million cases in 2020 and 232 million in 2019. The World Health Organization highlighted that lower funding due to the pandemic and rising costs have increased pressure on national malaria programs. According to reports, funding in 2021 came in at nearly $3.5 billion. This marked an increase from the 2 previous years, but fell far short of the 7.3 billion naira estimated to be required globally to stay on track to defeat the disease. Meanwhile, the Israeli army has killed 3 Palestinian men during a raid in Jenin, the latest people to die in a months-long Israeli campaign of near-daily raids in the occupied West Bank. The killing of the 3 men came less than 24 hours after the Israeli army killed a Palestinian man from the town of Silwad on the outskirts of the Ramallah in the central occupied West Bank. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, The victims were from the Jenin refugee camp, and at least 2 other Palestinian men were injured by Israeli fire during the raid, including one in serious condition. The Israeli army, including special forces, raided Jenin and its refugee camp and arrested several wanted Palestinian resistance fighters, during which clashes broke out between Israeli forces and armed Palestinian men. After the incident, the Israeli military said that its forces had been conducting counter-terrorism activity near Jenin when its soldiers were targeted with direct fire and responded with live fire during one arrest raid. Taufikat Abdulhakim, OSBC News.
That report concludes tonight's edition of the Major Report. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. Babatunde Bolatito is my name. Thank you for watching. Good night.
nílẹ̀ fẹ́ erinwó. Ìbátú ó di gbére o. Ọ̀rẹ́ mọ́nú rẹ̀ ọ̀rẹ́ bí ọmọ ìyá. Mother Celestia orí olúwa Foster Ẹlẹ́rù. JP Màmá Dọlápọ̀ wà nílùú London. Ń ṣèdárò rẹ̀ o. Àlájà mú ìbá. Ọmọ Bọ́láńlé Àdùnní ọlọ́rẹ̀. Ṣe lọ́jà ní sílẹ̀ bí ìṣògbó jẹ́yìn lẹ́kù. Ń lè gbàgbé rẹ̀ o. Orí ọ̀ṣẹ́ gudugudu méje yaya mẹ́fà. Ayẹyẹ àṣekágbà òkú. Ọmọ àwáyé lọ́jọ́ kẹwàá. Oṣù kejìlá ọdún yìí. Súnre o. Àlájà mú ìbá. Ọmọ Bọ́láńlé Àdùnní ọlọ́rẹ̀. Ọmọ Lámì Sọ̀gbẹ̀ lóde. Sékè ni bàbá aṣu. Arágbẹ̀kọ́ ọmọ Yókò Lámì lọ́lọ́nà lóde. Àbú àjànà ọ̀gbẹ́ ọ̀sẹ̀ rí oko bí ìdínkù ọlọ́jà. Láre o. Ọmọ Balógun ojú Adélòkè jẹun. Ẹ̀sọ́ kò yí. Ọmọ Adìlẹ̀ dógun. Ǹlẹ́ o. Ọmọ Arùbí ìdíwọ́jà. Bíìdì náà múṣọ alóró. Nílé rẹ ọmọ abẹ́wé lágbẹ̀rẹ́ ǹgẹ́dẹ́. Abìdí atọ́jà bí àpèrè. Onípòpòǹdó àjá àjátá abigi ajé solóko abigi dápọ̀mọ́ ọ̀fàfà lẹ́gàn. Ọ̀dìgbà rẹ̀ ni o. Olùkéde Mother Celestia. Ọ̀rẹ́ olúwa Foster Ẹlẹ́rù. JP Màmá Dọlápọ̀. Ọ̀rẹ́ bí ọmọ ìyá. Lómi ṣèdárò rẹ o.
My name is Femi Adebayo. This holiday season, Star Times is taking us to a better level. You can step up your family entertainment with the Star